Hello again. Today we're taking a look at Rory McIlroy, young superstar player from Northern Ireland, currently the world number one. Just a young guy, 23 years of age, already has 2 major championships to his name. I think we all remember the US Masters in 2011, where he had a lead going into the back 9 on Sunday and only managed to shoot 80 on the last round, tied for 15th, but then straight after that came back and won the US Open at Congressional, so proving all his detractors and critics wrong and proving he's got some serious game and some serious talent. And I was lucky enough to personally witness Tiger and Rory play together in Zhengzhou in China earlier in 2012, and watching the two play together, pretty impressive. But in all honesty, Rory McIlroy's ball flight was just something special. I mean, Tiger's no slouch either, but McIlroy just something seriously good about this young guy. You see him going a long way. Last year, 2012, he won basically everything. As I say, he won his second major championship, the PGA, towards the end of the year in August. PGA Tour leading money winner, Player of the Year, Barden Trophy. Also was the European Tour Player of the Year, so one on the main list on both sides of the Atlantic. Pretty impressive. Now we've got a couple of good videos here. The one on the left is a down the line, looks like a range video. Camera stays really nice and still and the angle's perfect. The one on the right looks like it's probably in Dubai or someone like that, all the construction in the background, but it's also a good video. But if you just take a close look over here, these red lines I've drawn on this building, you'll see the camera moves just a little bit. I mean, only just a fraction, so this is still gonna be okay. What we need to do, it's really important when you're doing videos of your own swing or trying to look at good players. As I say earlier, got to have the camera positioned properly, so make sure you read our instructions on that. And it's really great if the camera is not moving around. If you're going to do analysis of your own swing over time, you've got to have consistent camera placement. Don't keep moving the camera around to different positions, because it can make the swing look completely different, especially the down the line view. Alright, start off with the behind camera. Look at Rory's setup positions. Looks like he's using probably a 5 or 6 on here. As you would expect, a young athletic guy like Rory, he's got great posture, upper body leaning forward, the hips pushed back a little bit, the hip socket just out there behind the heels, which is a common trait among good players. The arms just slightly forward or vertical, and the extension of the shaft points right into his waistline, right into his belt. So it's a fantastic setup position here. Similarly, from the front side, looks like he's using a little bit of a shorter club here, maybe an 8 or a 9 iron. Ball position nicely in the centre. Head set slightly behind the ball. Hands there just slightly forward of the ball. So again, everything's very textbook, very conventional here. So if you're a young player out there trying to emulate or learn from a great swing, this might be a good one to keep in mind. Nothing too fancy or funky going on with this golf swing, very conventional. Alright, let's get this golf swing moving away on the down the line view. See the initial takeaway. Something that I really like to see and good players usually do is keep that club head in front of the hands in the takeaway. So it's reached parallel to the ground with the shaft and the head of the club still remain in front of his hands. The other great thing about this is the club face is positioned here, which is usually parallel to the body, parallel to the spine. So as I've said in previous videos, I don't like the toe of the club to be vertical at this point. To me, that's an open club face relative to the arc of the swing. The club face where Rory is here is pretty close to square. Let's do the same here from the front view. We'll get Rory's swing moving away. You see the lovely use of the body here, the upper body, chest and torso, rotating all this one movement. No real use of the hands or wrists early in the takeaway. So he's established this parallel to ground position. Lovely one-piece move away from the ball. He's using the upper body to rotate. Lower body also does rotate, of course, but it's been pulled into the swing through the turn of the upper body. Okay, let's get him back a little further into what we call a three-quarter position, where the left arm is parallel with the ground, which is right about now. And you see by this stage of his swing that left wrist has hinged the club up nicely, approximately 90 degrees in the left wrist. The shaft is up through here, points just pretty much right on the ball line there. You'll notice that the head so far has stayed fairly much in the original circle here on the right, and has stayed relatively level in the down the line view as well. Notice there's no real evidence of any lateral movement in Rory's swing. He just rotates. He's already behind the ball address, so he's just turning and he's staying behind the ball. Really good to see that. What we should do here is just draw a line in there up from the golf ball. Okay, now we're getting to all the way back to the top of the swing. Now Rory does have classic top of the backswing in terms of where the club face is. If we take a look at the left side here, down the line, the club's just going to disappear in there behind his hand at the top. But let me assure you, his club face is still very square. Now that would be at this point parallel to the left arm. Very nice flat left wrist, a nice little arch in the right wrist. Another thing you see with all good players, Rory's maintained the depth in the pelvis. He's moved in just a little bit there. Left knee's pushed forward because of the turn of the hips. Right knee's backed up a little bit, but it's less than the left knee's gone forward. They're all very, very good here so far. You'll notice that Rory's already starting to move to the left with his lower body before the backswing's even actually finished. Now, this is the difference among these top players and amateurs. Now, a lot of students will ask me, how do I start the downswing? Well, you start the downswing when the club and arm start moving down, but what's happened prior to that is the lower body is led that, so it's got a little bit of a head start. So Rory's lower body is moving to the left and starting to unwind against the resistance of the upper body still going back. Now this is just a great move here. So I would say this point in the face-on view is the top of the backswing when the club has stopped moving, but the body, as you notice there, is already starting to move to the left. It's really important. A lot of sports involve that kind of move, not just golf. Alright, let's take a look at when he starts moving the club down to hit the golf ball. And the first thing you will notice, coming back to the down the line view, is what's happened here to his head. I mean, I hear a lot of people saying you've got to stay level, you can't dip your head and you can't move around with your head. Well, nobody's explained that concept to Rory. Let me look where this head is now. It's moved down a good 8 to 10 inches. His lower body has moved a little bit in off this back line. That's not something you'd normally see with great players that normally stay a little bit deeper in the pelvis. Take a look for the same move from the front view. So as the lower body starts pushing to the left, or the weight's moving to the left side, you'll see the evidence there of the head lowering towards the ground. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should be trying to intentionally push your head towards the ground, but a lot of good players do it, and the reason that Rory's doing it, and a lot of these great players do, is the lower body moves to the left and the head stays behind the ball. So obviously that's going to increase the tilt of the spine through here more than what it was at address, and that's essentially why Rory's head lowers towards the ground. Good thing to do though if it's done properly. So as Rory's approaching the golf ball right here, so when the shaft is now parallel to the ground on the downswing, note where his hands are. His hands are already back in front of his right leg when the shaft is parallel. A lot of you are in a very different position to that. You come into the golf ball a lot wider, where the club is further away from your body. Your arms are still further back when the club is parallel to the ground. So I see a lot of people struggling with their swing look more like that as they come in down. So Rory looks fantastic at this stage. Let's take a look at the same approach to the golf ball from the down the line view. You see this shaft is working right back in between the two blue lines. Classic move there. See how well he clears his body through the ball. Okay. Right arm is still bent at impact, and that's something that seems to be a common trait among the best players. Cleared his hips through. The shoulders are actually really open. The hips are almost facing the target. Certainly more than 45 degrees open. Rory's shoulder line and chest is more open than a lot of good players. A lot of good players are a bit more square on with their chest and open with their lower body. So Rory's really quite open with his upper body as well. Okay, let's finish this off into the golf ball on the face-on side. You can see here his hands have already gone past the golf ball. You see his weight's already completed the move into the left side, so it's almost like his arms and club are catching up to his body. And right here when his club is on the golf ball, great example of forward shaft lean, right wrist arch, head remaining behind the ball, weight on the left side. These are your three key points to a good impact, and the type of thing I work on a lot with my students. Three things that you'll see Rory's done really well is he's moved into his left side, the lower body weights into the left, and that happens quite early in the downswing and actually starts to happen late in the backswing. His heads remain behind the golf ball. You won't see any good play with their head in front of the golf ball at impact. And then the last piece, because of those first two parts, he's able to deliver his club into the ball with the forward shaft lean. Right wrist is still slightly bent, but there's a nice arch in the right wrist as he strikes the ball. There's a flatness in the left wrist. And as he goes through the ball, his hands and wrists seem very quiet and very passive. Strikes the ball, then strikes the ground. Now this is obviously played in super slow motion, but this is a very, very quick, powerful golf swing, and this club with this 8 or 9 iron is probably going somewhere at about 90 miles an hour through the golf ball. This is all happening very quickly, but passive, quiet hands through the ball. Too many amateurs are overactive with their hands and wrists through the golf ball. This is just a delightful impact and post-impact up to a great, well-balanced follow-through. This finishes off on the down the line. See his head is going to come up at the end. Don't try and keep your head down. Let the head move up with the momentum of the swing. Lovely balance. Now, Rory does have one thing in his swing that's very, very unusual. I won't say unique. I mean, this is something that there have been a few other examples in the past, but it's a little bit hard to see with this video, but I have seen some great videos of what happens with Rory's hip action through the ball. Rory actually has the fastest rate of rotation in the hips on the tour. I mean, up to 50% quicker than anybody else. And what that does is it puts enormous stress on his ab muscle. So as he's unwinding the lower body against the resistance of the upper body, he puts a lot of stress on his abs. So it helps a lot that he's young and strong. But what the body does with so much stretch going the other way, gets to about here, his hips and pelvis appear to sort of slow down, and actually they go backwards just ever so slightly. So they rotate to the left, sort of slow down, actually rotate back a fraction to the right, and then they go more to the left. Now, Rory's obviously aware of that because he's been screened and tested and had his body analysed, but he certainly can't feel that, and it's not something he's thinking of. So whatever you do, don't try to go out there and try to copy that, but he's just an amazing athlete, and the way his body responds to what he's doing to it is quite amazing. Well, there we are, Rory McIlroy. Look for him to win a lot more tournaments before he's done and stay at the top of the game for many, many years to come. Thank you.